Now your living expenses is probably going to be capped around, let's say 15,000. So that's 35,000 for a year.
Okay.
Now the question is, how many people are earning 35,000 a year who are students,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
How many? Like it's so tiny, right?
mhm.
So now already your tuition and your living expenses is way more than you are even earning in a year. So
Yeah.
you are probably earning like 15,000 is your living expenses. So that's what you're earning. Your tuition, your tuition is 20K. That means that at the end of the day, you're already owing 20K, right?
Mm,
How are
mhm,
you able to pull out 20K to pay for that school fees? That's what the VO is concerned about.
mm,
So the visa officer is saying that this 20K, you can't pay the thing because I'm in the system. I know how it is like. I know the things, the bills, your car insurance, your phone bills, the other health insurance, things that will be pulling and dragging you, your rent, right? Other miscellaneous expenses, groceries, fuel for the car. All these
yeah.
things will be pulling you. So
Yeah.
if you're having this deficit, can you survive? That's what the view is concerned about.
Mm,
And when they look at it, they're like, no, you see what? I'm in a system. You can't afford it. I'm going to deny you the visa. That's why
mm,
that you realize a lot of people that are fully funded are people that have higher chances of getting the visas approved. Yes, people who are owing deficits can also get approved, but it's not as common compared to those who are fully funded.
okay.
Yeah, so I think that one determining factor
Is
is
a
your
finance.
financials because that's the very first thing they ask for.
Yeah.
When you get to the window, they ask for your I-20. Why don't they say, let me see your ID? Or they
Mm,
don't say, let me see. Even your bank statement, they take the I-20 first before they take the bank statement.
mm,
So what is showing on your I-20 that you can afford the school that you are going to
mhm.
is the determining factor. And then number two is how well you speak.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of Convos from Abroad. I'm your host, PK Kwei, and on today's episode, my guest is a three-time rejected US visa applicant who took a leap of faith on his fourth attempt and eventually got his visa approved. He runs a YouTube channel that he has dedicated in sharing tips, advice, and insight to anyone who is looking to study and live in abroad. He joins us today to share his story and experience on Convos from Abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Danny the legend.
Thank you very much, Vicky. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was a hearty introduction. Yeah, I
Yes,
appreciate it.
you're a big man.
Thanks for having me.
Yesterday before our interview today, I spent a lot of time on your YouTube channel going through every single video that you've posted since your very first post.
Right.
And there was something quite intriguing about how you've infused storytelling into your posts. And I was quite wondering if this is who you have always been, or it's the YouTube that triggered the storyteller in you. Is that the case?
Okay, so I, for one, I just love to hear how people began. It has always been a thing that is intrinsic.
Okay.
Yes, we are at this point, but how did we get there? How did we start? So that is something that I desire to replicate in my life. My life has to tell a story, has to be a journey. And so when you check my YouTube thumbnail, you realize that the bottom left is
Mhm.
documenting my journey. Okay,
That's
because
right.
that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to document my journey. Like, how did I start? How where have I gotten to, and then where am I heading to? And so it comes in that form. My contents do come in that form, and
Wow.
even the whole beginning was that I just created YouTube to document my journey, not to even do study abroad. So it was
Okay.
later when people were like, "Oh, Charlie, how do you do this thing? Because we see you are here, you are making videos, you are talking about how you got rejected, how you made it. How did you do it? Like, we really need to know." And that is how my channel transitioned into sharing study abroad opportunities. But when you start watching, you realize I was just like personal vlog, on campus job. I'll just vlog about it. I'll just vlog about this. I'm going here, I'm here. And then it transitioned to a study abroad thing. So
Yeah.
that is my journey so far. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's
storytelling.
that's amazing. And for me personally, with the videos that I was watching, it really inspired me as a person. Because for you to be rejected 3 times and then you still pressed on to try the fourth time, and then eventually you got approved, it was so inspiring for me. So before we even get to all your journey from in the US and all that, I want us to start from scratch. For someone who is hearing your name for the first time, for someone who is watching this and hearing Danny Legend for the first time, a person like that would want to understand your background, how life was like for you in Ghana, the school you were doing, the work you were at, and how the opportunity to travel came for you. Yeah.
Okay. So I went to, let me start from school. So in Fantipim, I did general arts, economics, geography, French, elective maths. And then I transitioned to KNUST, which is Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. So that's where I did my first degree in economics.
Okay.
By God's grace, I graduated with a first class. And then for that alone was like a good opportunity for me to leverage my first classness to try and secure a scholarship. But then after school, we are all going to do national service in Ghana. For those of us who don't know, who may be watching in Ghana, after your bachelor's degree, you go for a 1-year program and then you serve your country. So through that, I did that with the municipal assembly. And then I was supposed to go into the workforce or the job market. And that's where it became a challenge. As you know, some of us come from developing countries really have challenges when it comes to finding jobs. So that was my situation for like 3 years. I couldn't get a job, but there was one job that I did for like 6 months, and then I also moved out of the job again because I was looking for something that would pay higher. So it was more like wallowing in the unemployment situation. How do I better my life? How do I add value? And I feel a lot of people can relate with the whole unemployment thing. So, by the way, I had a friend who was in the US at the time, and then she saw a PhD advertisement in her school that, they are advertising for PhD position, scholarship, fully funded and all that. It's a new program, get into it. So she sent me the flyer. And I looked at it, I was like, nah, Charlie, I don't think I want to do school now. I just want to get married and settle down. Yeah, that was my plan. Okay, I don't want to come to, because if I come to school and I want to marry now, it's now long distance marriage. And so I was like, forget the school. So later on, I was like, nah, maybe this thing is the right path. Let me just try the school thing again. And at that time, I had about 6 months for my GRE to expire, because GRE, when you write, it takes 5 years for it, the scores to expire.
Okay.
And I'd written it in, I think, 2018. So by 2023, it was going to expire. And I was like, this school too, the school the lady introduced to me, they're also taking GRE. I was like, let me just use it. It's almost expiring. By the time I was ready to apply, because when she introduced the opportunity to me, it was like a year before I'd applied. So that time had elapsed, and I was now in the following year. So I was like, is the PhD program still open? She said, nah, it's not open now, because they are still making some changes. They don't know if they want to continue the program and all that. So you can apply to their master's program. They still have it open. So that's how come within a space of about a month, I prepared all my SOP, my CV, everything, forwarded it to the school, including the GRE, and then my transcript, which came from KNUST directly to the school. Because my school did not take evaluation. Some of them you have to do the credential. They didn't take it. So within the space of 1 month, I'd sent everything to the school, and I wasn't hearing from them. So by November 1st or November 2nd, I got a letter from them that this is my admission. This is the assistantship they are also going to be giving me. So that is my journey before coming to the US.
And this was in 2023, I guess.
Yes. So the application and everything happened in 2022, June, July. But
Okay.
by 2023 January, I was in the US.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So within 6 months from the start of preparing everything, it took 6 months to be in the US.
Okay. Okay. You got rejected 3 times
Yeah.
for trying to
Yeah.
secure a visa. How was how did that happen? And then how were you able to handle the first, the second, and then the third rejections?
It's been tears. It's been a journey of tears because you know that for the first one was a visiting visa, got rejected, but I still count it as a rejection anyway because you pay all the interview fee, you go through everything, you go to the counter, the window, and all that. So I still count it as part of my rejection stories, even though the first one wasn't for school.
Okay.
So yeah, got rejected. It was sad. The next one, 2018, I was like, you know what? Let me just go for a master's program. That was a master's program. So
Okay.
I was going for that in Texas, in Texas State. Yeah, and then I got rejected for that one. I am suspecting that it was probably the funding situation. Yes, I
Oh,
had some amount, I had some percentage of scholarship, but it wasn't like 100%. And then I decided to do a little bit tweak to my profile for the next interview, which is 2019. After the 2018 rejection, I went for the 2019 one, and just a little tweak with my finances brought down the payments more, but it still wasn't 100%
okay.
scholarship.
For the
And
same
then
school, right? It
that
was the
one,
same admission letter.
so for the first one, I think the first one was Stephen F. Austin State, and then the
Okay.
second one must have been no, I think it must have been the same school. Yeah, I
Okay. So you
applied to
deferred.
multiple. Yeah, yes, more like a deferment. But then I did a little bit tweak to my financials, but it still didn't really help convince the VO that I was worthy of a visa at the time. Yeah, but then what I would say is that the kind of schools or the group of schools that I applied in 2018 are different from the group of schools that I applied in 2019, except
Okay.
Stephen F. Austin, because we had a family friend who was a department chair. So it's like, okay, let me try it again and keep communicating with him to see how it will go. So I
Okay.
tried that same school
Okay.
again. Yeah, yeah. But the other alternative schools were all different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I see. So for me, for someone who was able to secure a first class at your undergrad level, it comes to me, although I'm a Ghanaian and I understand the situation with unemployment, it comes to me as a shock for being unemployed for like 3 years after school.
Yeah.
Or was it like unemployment? You were home, you were doing nothing, or you sent in CVs, you were being bounced by companies, or what exactly was happening with your employment then?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. So I was applying to a couple of companies. I even went for a couple of interviews. I went for places where even family friends had promised me that I'm going to give you a job. I got there and they said, no, they can't help. I'm telling you. So it was very emotional for me. It was very difficult for me because you feel like, okay, I've waited maybe 2 years. This third year, I'm going to get it because if this family friend has, promised and all that, you go there and they say, oh, sorry, we thought you had accounting background. No, it's just
Wow.
economics. We cannot work with you. Meanwhile, the person was like, oh, I'm in the HR, and the person is truly the HR. So all sorts of disappointment. I went for interviews with other companies. Sometimes I even tweaked my CV for different roles, to get different job roles and all that. But it still didn't work out. Then I was like, let me start something on my own. So that's when I went into graphic design, website design, started learning stuff so that I could just do my own thing and sell my services.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I ever even have any advice for people that are unemployed, suffering to get a job, struggling, I always tell them that learn a skill, get a skill set, and then sell your services. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, instead of always having to wait on, because you never know when the job is gonna come. Whilst you are doing that, yes, keep applying to jobs, right? But if you're able to do something that stabilizes, you will not need a job at that point. You will just have to focus on your craft.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I believe
That has been my unemployment.
your graphic design and the website development thing, it paid you a bit. Because I know you guys cash out.
Yeah.
You guys
It actually paid. He said you cash out. It actually paid because all that I'm doing, I do it myself. All the TikTok videos, the things you see, the flyers, my thumbnails, everything I do it myself. Yeah. So it has really come to pay off. It has taught me how to market. It has taught me how to tell a story, to sell, like all sort of things that I'm really, really grateful for today that I didn't get employed in other areas because that would
okay.
have robbed me of the opportunity to develop myself in this way.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. I see. So let's come to the fourth time you attempted to apply for the visa. At that point, what was going through your head? Because I know for someone who has been rejected 3 times, after all, again, let me just forget about it, focus on my craft, and maybe find like a way to settle down and raise a family here in Ghana. What kept you? What was that thing that pushed you to try the fourth time?
Right. So it's a lot of things that happened, including some that are very personal,
Okay,
but not very personal, but I can still share it anyway.
okay, sure.
Yeah. So you remember how I told you that I didn't want to do the PhD because I had wanted to settle down and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah. So at that time, I was planning that let me just, try and settle down, like start a family, those kind of things. And then I got disappointed in a relationship.
okay,
And I just looked at my credentials and I was like, okay, you know what? I have GRE scores. I have everything I need, right? Let me just try and add something to my life. Like let me just go again one last time. If it doesn't work, I'm done with school. But let me like change my trajectory. I think that was the turning point for me.
okay,
I got to a point in my life. I was like, yes, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried that. It didn't work out because from 2019 to 2022, that was a point where I was like, I'm even done with school. But I still had my credentials and my GRE, everything still active and valid. The status was active at the time. And I was like, since this thing has happened to me, let me try one last one and see how things go.
okay.
But it was still going to involve money, it was still going to involve me spending and all that. And my last budget was what I
Wow.
used for my fourth one. My last budget was what I used for the fourth one. So when it came through, I was like, God, it was something else. It was something else. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would say that was what made me take that last step. It's like, it's like all die be die. If it doesn't work out, then I'm
If it
done.
doesn't work, you are done. Wow.
I'm
I
done
can
with school. I'm
imagine.
done with study abroad.
I
Yeah.
can
Because
imagine.
I had looked at Europe and Hungary. I wanted to go to Hungary.
Uh-huh.
Like, started making calls, inquiries. What do I need? Germany. Like, Charlie, I even applied to a German school. I applied to Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a
Maybe
lot.
we
Yeah.
so okay. So the other countries, is it that the schools didn't reply or give you the admission, or it was the US that you said, okay, US is where I want to head towards. They didn't. The other
So,
countries didn't give you admission.
so they did not. But the thing with US is that US is like the boss of all the countries when it comes to
Okay.
study abroad. When
Okay.
you're in US, like a top, yeah. So I've always desired to be in the US, right? From 2010, when we did a visiting up till 2022 that I had, like those 12 years space, it was always US on my mind. But then I was still open to the fact that, what, maybe my journey is in Europe. So sometimes, people are like, oh, if it doesn't work here, you want to try another country. That was my philosophy,
Okay.
right? That is why after my 2019, in fact, between not just having to go silent on study abroad things, but between 2019 to 2022, I was also looking at other countries.
Okay.
But for US, I was silent. For
Okay.
US, 2019 to 2022 was like, I'm not looking at US again.
Okay.
So that time period is like Netherlands, Germany, Hungary, and all that. Yeah,
Okay.
but I didn't get admission in any of those countries. I
Okay.
think the closest one was probably Germany. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I see. I see. And God being so good, you're able to secure 100% scholarship. I guess that would be
Yeah,
because you were a first class student, or that didn't play a role.
I think it only partly played a role. The most important thing is your statement of purpose. You have to be able to be very, very convincing when it comes to that. You should be able to tell a good story
Okay.
when it comes to writing the statement of purpose. So I think that in conjunction with the first class is what helped me out. Yes.
Okay. Okay. For myself, I think I've tried a couple of applications regarding the US, and what I've realized is that there can be a lot of barriers when you are applying as an applicant. Barriers in terms of academic qualification like the JRE, IELTS.
Yeah.
Even you have to, there are some that you will have to pay application fee and all that. Were you paying such monies, and how much was it costing you as an applicant?
The GREs and all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so I think the GRE at the time probably I forgot. I wrote it like 2018. It was probably, was it like 180 or $200 at the time?
Okay.
I don't
I
even
think by
remember.
now it's
It's been a
250
while.
or so.
So that time was probably like 180 or 160. And then TOEFL too, I wrote it like 2018. Yeah, I think 2018 or 2019 I wrote TOEFL. That was also around 100 and something at the time. Now things have gone up,
Yeah.
prices have gone up and all that. But I always want to tell people that, see, if you are financially constrained, try and look for opportunities where you are not supposed to write those exams, pay for this, pay for that, try and come to a point where you avoid all those things. That's what I call studying on low budget.
Okay.
Yeah, you can study abroad on low budget by avoiding application fee, GRE, TOEFL, IELTS. There are schools that waive it off for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all in all, when it comes to those things, I think I would have spent about anything less than $400 at a time.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
By estimate. Yeah.
That's I see.
Yeah.
So that gives an idea of how much one should put down when they want to attend such a course like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That is for exams. Yeah.
exams,
For
okay,
exams. Yeah. But
okay,
maybe for me, I paid application fee. Application fee at North Dakota State was very cheap. It's one of the cheapest. In fact, the Midwest schools have very cheap
mhm,
application fee. So I think theirs was 35 at the time. And then South Dakota was probably the same 35, either 35 or 30. And
okay,
then which one else? Scranton was free, so I applied to Scranton. But even that one, I didn't finish. I don't know. There's something about free that doesn't push people to do things.
okay,
Yeah. So because my money went into North Dakota and South Dakota, I finished those applications. But
okay,
Scranton was free, so it's like I don't know. I was a little bit lazy around it. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
and I also felt that since it's free, a lot of people are going to be doing it. So I don't know.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then in terms of the program of choice, was it the same in the same field as what you did in your undergrad, or was totally different?
Oh, it's in the same field because I did economics, and this was agribusiness and applied economics. But even within that, you can choose what to focus on, and I focus on applied economics. So I'll say it's in the same field.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And with your visa processing, you'd have to give them proof of some document, and you would have to go and then justify your inclusion through an interview. For someone who have had a couple of, I think, 2 or 3 interviews, that you had an idea of what questions they will ask you. How did you prepare for your fourth interview? Given your previous experiences.
Okay. So first of all, I made sure there was a massive change in my financials.
Okay.
So, okay, yes, now I have full scholarship, right? How do I now present my case? Why am I going to the US? All those kind of questions. Why this program? You know, so I now have to draft a profile of myself and then try to come up with coherent arguments that would
Okay.
convince the VO why I need to be given the visa.
Okay.
So I had to link it with what I was doing, like the family business or family farm, those kind of
Okay.
things. Yeah,
Okay.
because if you are going to be an economist, there should be a way you are applying what you are going to learn, right? So how do you apply that to something back home? That also
Okay.
shows home ties. Right?
Okay.
You're not just going to say, "Oh, I'm going to study this." Yeah. But how are you tied to your home? How do I know you're going to come back?
Hmm.
Right? What do you have at home that will bring you back? So that family business thing was also
Okay.
something that I could link to as my home tie. So you have to tackle all these major points as a way
Yeah.
to prepare yourself for the visa interview. So, and I ask myself, okay, what are you going to study? Then I'll repeat. Sometimes I'll ask my sisters to ask me, then I'll give an answer. When I'm fumbling, I'll start again, that kind of
Okay.
thing. So you do your own private mock sessions.
Okay.
Oh, in the middle of the night before I sleep, I'll just be reviewing it. Okay, then I'll be answering without. I need to make sure I'm answering and flowing without breaking in my answers, without stammering in my answers, without
Okay.
saying any fillers like uh because it makes the viewer think that you're lying, right?
Okay.
So I was practicing all those things. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I did my preparations. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. And we we know and we've heard that there's a lot of bounce rates compared to those that eventually get the visas. What do you think is that factor that causes a lot of people to be bounced when securing their visas? Have you figured that
All right,
out?
good questions. Yeah. So I would say it's the financials. Because at the end of the day, how are you gonna live here? Things here are expensive compared to back home, right? Because back home, if I'm buying a burger and it costs me like $5 at Burger King, by conversion, right, it's way more back home. Okay, so
Okay.
everything here tends to be spent in large quantities, seemingly large quantities.
Okay.
And so the school fees is also equally going to come in large quantities.
Okay.
So if we are going to pay about 30,000 or let's say 20,000
Okay.
in 1.5 years, or we're going to pay 20,000 in tuition fees in a year, let's say.
Okay.
Now your living expense is probably going to be capped around, let's say 15,000. So that's 35,000 for a year.
Okay.
Now the question is, how many people are earning 35,000 a year who are students,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
How many? Like it's so tiny, right?
Mhm.
So now already your tuition and your living expenses is way more than you are even earning in a
Mhm.
year. So
Yeah.
you are probably earning like 15,000 is your living expenses. So that's what you're earning. Your tuition, your tuition is 20K. That means that at the end of the day, you're already owing 20K, right?
Mm.
How are you able to pull out 20K to pay for that school fees? That's what the VO is concerned about.
Mm.
So the visa officer is saying that this 20K, you can't pay the thing because I'm in the system. I know how it is like. I know the things, the bills, your car insurance, your phone bills, the other health insurance, things that will be pulling and dragging you, your rent, right? Other miscellaneous expenses, groceries, fuel for the car. All these
Yeah.
things will be pulling you. So
Yeah.
if you're having this deficit, can you survive? That's what the view is concerned about.
Mm.
And when they look at it, they're like, no, you see what? I'm in a system. You can't afford it. I'm going to deny you the visa. That's
Mm.
why that you realize a lot of people that are fully funded are people that have higher chances of getting the visas approved. Yes, people who are owing deficits can also get approved, but it's not as common compared to those who are fully funded.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that one determining factor
Is
is
a
your
finance.
financials because that's the very first thing they ask for.
Yeah.
When you get to the window, they ask for your I-20. Why don't they say, let me see your ID? Or they
Mm.
don't say, let me see. Even your bank statement, they take the I-20 first before they take the bank statement.
Mm.
So what is showing on your I-20 that you can afford the school that you are going to
Mhm.
is the determining factor. And then number two is how well you speak.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, to the point that if somebody even has a huge deficit and knows how to speak and convince and
Mm.
has a solid payback plan for the
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
right, they can still be given the visa.
But with the issue of finances, even now there are institutions like OGD Empower that finance people's tuition and their living expenses. And I know a couple of people who have used that route and it has worked for them, right? If you're able to tell them that, okay, I'm using this institution to finance my education and my living expenses, and I'll be paying them small, small. Is it a good excuse? Is it a good way to tell them that you are on top of your financials, or is a no-go area? What do you think about that?
Well, I personally know someone who came here with Empower loan, got approved,
Okay.
right? The
Okay.
thing is, what is your payment plan? That's why I
Mm.
was mentioning that if you have a solid payment plan,
Mm.
they could give you the visa,
Yeah.
right? Someone could take $50,000 from Empower, and then they ask them that, oh, so how are you going to pay back? It'll be like, when I come, I'm going to get a job here, and then I'll be paid. No, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a job
Yeah.
to be
Yes.
paying that loan,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But if the person, let's say, he either on steady leave and the company is still paying them, then the VO will say that, oh, okay, at least there's some source of income somewhere.
Yeah.
Or they have solid proof that, oh, their dad owns this company, is running so good. Here are the financials, here's the bank statement in support to tell that I can pay off this loan. The VO
Yeah.
might be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, maybe, yeah, this is doable. Let me give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compared to not having a plan or just hoping that,
Hmm.
when I come, I'm going to get some job and use it to pay. It's
Charlie.
not,
I
they
see.
don't deal with hopes.